Hello coders, welcome to the second coding quiz roundup video. This is where I answer the questions that I put out on Instagram and Twitter on the polls. And this time the questions are all about JavaScript. So let's get into it. The first one was, what does this keyword refer to in a JavaScript object method? And the three potential answers that I put out was the object, private properties, and inherited properties. A lot of people got this correct, which is great to see. The answer is the object. But let's talk about the this keyword alone, as in when you're using this outside of a function, outside of an object. This refers back to the global object, the global scope. In a function, the keyword this also refers to the global object. However, if you're using strict mode, then if you refer to this, it's going to throw an undefined error. So be careful with that if you're using it in strict mode. In an event, the keyword this refers to the element that received the event. You may see a lot of tutorials that use the variable e and pass that through. That is the event. Methods like call, apply, and bind can refer this to any object. So there's all sorts of different ways this can be altered and changed depending on the context and how you use them. So just be aware. But the question here, what does this refer to in a JavaScript object method? The correct answer is the object itself. The second question that I put out was, how many kinds of loops are there in JavaScript? And I put out 4 possible answers here: 3, 5, 7, and 2. So the question again, how many kinds of loops are there in JavaScript? And the answers were either 3, 5, 7, or 2. And a fair amount of people got this wrong. It's actually 7. It's actually 7 kinds of loops in JavaScript. Let's go through them. Let's go through those 7. So first of all, we have while. Okay, so that's while loop. And then we have a variant of while, which is a do while. And then we have for, and then we have for each. Then we have map, and then we have for in. And finally, we have for of. I don't want to make this video too long, but let's just try and cover those as much as possible. So the while loop is a loop that is used in all sorts of programming languages. It is a loop that continues iterating over itself if the condition is true. So essentially you can say, while this condition evaluates to true, we will continue the loop. The do while loop is slightly different because what you've got is a sort of a do block. So this is saying that the block of code gets evaluated at least once, and if the further of the condition satisfies the code block, will be executed accordingly. So it kind of does it an extra step, essentially. We move on to the for loop. So this is a very common loop in JavaScript. What we're saying here is for, and then you've got the initialization, and then you've got the condition, and then you've got the final expression. You have the initialization, which is the variable that you are initializing, the condition that you want to meet, and then a final expression. And if that is correct, then the block of code gets executed. So you may see for I equals 0. That is the initialization. Then you've got the condition. So I is, say, less than, and then a number that you're evaluating. And these are separated by semicolons. After that, you have the final expression. So I plus plus. So you're incrementing I each time as long as I is less than a particular number. For each loops. So this is where we're going over an array. Or an array. So the for each method calls a given function or callback every time with each element in an array according to the index order. The next type of loop in JavaScript is a map. Now this may seem a little bit odd because the map function actually returns another array. So we're supplying an original array to map, and out pops a new array. So essentially what we're doing is we're looping over the original array, and we're doing things to those values, those elements within that array, and we're generating another array based on those values. The next kind of JavaScript loop is a for in loop. Now this is a loop that iterates over properties of an object. So what you would have here is, say, an object say you've got an object that has various different properties, say property A, property B, property C, and then we're looping through that. So we got for, and then you've got a variable, say prop, and then you have the in keyword, and then you have the object variable. So this is going to output a prop value for each of the properties of that particular object. The last type of loop in JavaScript is a for of loop. Now, this is where we can supply all sorts of different types of variables, different types of things, different types of iterable objects. And remember, a lot of things are objects in JavaScript, and we can iterate over the values of those objects. So we can even do strings, right? So we can even say for value in a string, or for, I should say of. So for value of string. So let's say we have a string. Let's say we got a variable called name, right? And you've got the value assigned to that, say Pete, and we're looping over that name. So what we would do is for, and then we would have value of name, and we would go through each character within the name. So P, E, T, E. And that's all the loops in JavaScript. Next coding quiz JavaScript question that I put out was, what is a callback function in JavaScript? And the three answers that I put out were a function passed as an argument, code that calls itself, or global functions. The correct answer is a function passed as an argument. So this is where we have a callback function, and that function is passed as an argument to another function, which is then invoked by the original function, right? So you've got an original function. So say we've got a function that we want to say greeting or say hello or something like that, right? So that's the function. And we want to pass in another function that calls back something that returns gets the user's first name and surname. And so we need something to retrieve that from, say, a user object. So we want to call a method in the user object to return the first name and the last name as a concatenated string. So perhaps what we would do is we would pass in the getName method within the sayHello function. We've got a function sayHello, and we pass in another function getFullName, and getFullName returns the string Peter Fisher, and then the sayHello is returning the output good morning, comma Peter Fisher. That kind of magic. The last coding quiz JavaScript question that I asked was, how many types of pop-up boxes does JavaScript have? And the potential answers were 1, 5, 3, or 2. So how many types of pop-up boxes does JavaScript have? 1, 5, 3, or 2. And a lot of people thought it was 2, but it's actually 3. And the 3 are an alert box, a confirm box, and a prompt box. And I think it was the prompt box that tripped people up, because you don't really see the prompt box in the wild. But let's talk about what these do. So the alert box, it's a pop-up that alerts the user of something that's going to happen, and they have to click the OK button to proceed. This could be like if you're downloading something and it pops up to say, are you sure you want to download this? Or if it's opening up a new page, it may warn you that a new page is going to be open or something like that, and you have to press OK for it to then continue executing that command. There is another variant of this, which is the confirm box. So the confirm box is normally used when you're trying to get the user to confirm a particular action before it happens. This is very handy for things like actions that are destructive. So for example, if you've got a feature where you can get the user to delete their account, ask the user to delete their account, then you would pop up a confirm box, and the user has the choice to either cancel or to press OK to confirm it. If cancel is pressed, false is returned. If OK is pressed, then the event is true and can continue on doing the thing that the user has confirmed it should do. The last pop-up box is a prompt box, and it's a little similar to the confirm box. However, it has a text area where you can actually input information, and that is then sent to the callback. So for instance, what you're saying is, please enter your name, or please enter your, I don't know, favorite football team or what have you, and then you can grab that information when the user submits that prompt. So they are the coding quiz questions. Next week, we're going to be doing CSS, cascading style sheets, and we've got one going out every weekday on both Instagram and Twitter. Twitter is going to be Twitter polls, Instagram stories. Also, do check out the code quiz highlight there. It's all how to code well at both of those things. Also, please do subscribe if you haven't done so to the YouTube channel to get the next coding quizzes, and also to get the podcast and everything else. Thank you ever so much for watching. Happy coding, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.